Welcome back to another What I Eat in a Week, guys. Look at the fall vibes out the window. It was immaculate. So to start off this week, we are having a papaya and we've got the orange vibes going on. Very fall, very Halloween. And that's what we're going for in this video. And I scooped out the seeds. I did try and eat one again. Didn't go well. So I just skipped right to eating the good part. And I demolished the whole thing because papayas are literally the best thing. They're such a good fruit. And then you know what time it is. It's pumpkin spice latte season. So we are going to make some homemade pumpkin spice syrup, save the cash, and who doesn't love just to have it on hand, am I right? So I mixed it together. It was super simple. It lasts up to a month in the fridge, which is amazing, but I'm already finished it within like a week, so you don't have to worry about it going bad. And you can use it in drinks, in baking. It's so awesome for the fall season. So I just mixed 1 tablespoon of it with my creamer on the top, and it was the perfect amount of sweetness. It was sensational. This was the first time I had made pumpkin spice syrup at home, and I am just amazed at how good it tastes. Like, dare I say, it was better than Starbucks. Like, I know that's a bold statement, but you can make it exactly how sweet you want, and it's just amazing. It's so amazing to do at home. And for breakfast, I was feeling a little bit adventurous, so I saw this recipe for vegan Nutella with chickpeas, and I was like, this could either be the best thing or the worst thing. But I decided to give it a go, give it the benefit of the doubt, and it actually turned out like way better than I thought. It's not as creamy, obviously, as Nutella. It doesn't have that like shiny texture. Like, I don't think you'd ever be able to like make a Nutella that is like Nutella, but it was chocolatey and like velvety and delicious. It was amazing. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. For lunch, I knew I wanted to make a creamy carrot soup because we had about 1,000 carrots. And I thought, what better thing to pair it with than some pumpernickel bread? And I think pumpernickel bread just doesn't get enough airtime. Like, it is such an underrated bread. And I've never actually made it before, so I was super excited. Look how satisfying that molasses is in the water. Let's just take a moment. That's so pretty. And anyways, so it was really weird. A bunch of ingredients I didn't know were actually in pumpernickel bread, like cocoa powder and molasses and stuff and rye flour. But oh my gosh, it's so good. So I just put that all together, kneaded the dough, let it rise for a little while. And I divided it into 2 pans and let it rise again in the pans. It ended up being definitely like a thicker dough, and I think I could have maybe added too much flour or something, I think, accidentally, because it was definitely like dense. But I think that's what pumpernickel bread is supposed to be. And for the soup, I just cut up a bunch of onions and a bunch of carrots. Oh, here's the onions making me cry. They were really strong onions. And I cut up a bunch of carrots very lazily in big chunks like that. Don't tell my mom. And then I cut up some potatoes too, just for like creaminess, because they just add like that nice to a soup. You could never go wrong adding a potato to anything, really. And I put some vegetable stock in the pot with a bunch of spices and stuff and cooked it up. It was a super simple soup. And I actually ended up blending it just with my hand blender, so it was kind of like a chunky, smooth like vibe of like both of them. And it was absolutely perfect. My sister and I actually went outside to eat it, and it started to rain on us, and it was just like we had our cozy soup, but it was like cold and rainy, and it was just like the ultimate fall vibes. It was so nice. And the soup and the pumpernickel bread were absolutely delicious. I cannot explain to you in human words how excited I was for this dinner. I was making pumpkin gnocchis, but not just any pumpkin gnocchis. I was making pumpkin shaped ones. They in a maple butter sauce. Need I say more? Need I say more? I was so excited. So I got to use over the leftover pumpkin from the can that I opened today, which I was very pleased about because we love efficiency in this house. And I just mixed up the batter, cut them up, and then I shaped them with a little knife. And oh my gosh, look at that, and a little piece of thyme as the like whatever you call it, you know, the stem. You cannot tell me that is not the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life. So after many long minutes of shaping, more like hours, I finished all the little pumpkins. Look how cute they are. So then I just dropped them into some boiling water for about a minute until they floated to the top. And then for the butter cream sauce, I added oat milk, butter, some maple syrup, and a little bit of cornstarch. I made like a little cornstarch slurry. That all came together so nicely. When I tell you I could have drank that sauce by the bucket, I would not be lying. So then I laid out all the gnocchis on the sauce. Look at the little pumpkin patch, little parsley for decoration. Genuinely one of the best things I've ever made and or eaten. So for breakfast, I was super excited to try this new smoothie recipe. It started off with coconut water and spinach that you blend to make sure there's no like icky consistency because of the spinach. Then you add in bananas and strawberries. Now, is it just me or does banana kind of look like he's like a sad man sitting in a bathtub? I don't know why I get that vibe, but I added in the strawberries and some spirulina, blended that all up, and it was absolutely delicious. The coconut water gave it this like super creamy texture without like tasting like coconut at all and without like being too heavy like sometimes milk is in a smoothie. It was amazing. I've made it like so many times since. For the rest of my breakfast, I decided to make these homemade vegan Pop-Tarts that I saw a recipe for that are literally flour, coconut oil, and water, and it makes this really simple dough. I also took my probiotic, but I was all out. Like, that was the last time, so I was really sad. I haven't had it since. I need to get more. But yeah, the Pop-Tarts are really, really simple, and I did one with Nutella. Spoiler alert, the Nutella is amazing at room temperature and cold, but atrocious warm. It was not good at all. But then I filled one with jam, and my favorite by far was a little bit of tofutti, some pesto, and a little bit of vegan cheese. It was so delicious, like the best one by far. Later, I snacked on a little bit of an apple, and then for lunch, I made my favorite kale and artichoke dip. It's so simple, so easy. It's packed with protein because of the tofu, and it is honestly just one of my go-tos for lunch, and it paired perfectly with the pumpernickel bread left over from yesterday. So I sauteed up the kale with the artichokes, and then all you do is you mix the tofu mixture with that, bake it for a little bit, served it with some tortilla chips as well. It was great vibes. Honestly, I felt like I was out at like a restaurant, just like eating my appetizer. It was immaculate. For dinner, I decided to make a potato salad for the side dish, and for the main course, I saw this recipe to make cauliflower wings, but instead of breading them, you wrap them up in rice paper to make like that kind of like cauliflower like skin kind of thing. And you boil the cauliflower in vegetable stock first, and then you bake it or air fry it. It's definitely better air frying it. It went like a lot faster, but obviously my air fryer is only so big. But it turned out so well. They were so tasty, and I did a sweet honey mustard sauce and buffalo sauce, and yeah, it was really, really delicious. I started my day off again with a big old glass of water. That's how I start off every morning. You just chug it back and stare into the distance. And then I had a little banana while I waited to make the rest of my food. I was making a allergy tea that I saw a recipe for because I've randomly like developed allergies out of nowhere, so I don't know where that came from. But I let that all brew together, and it was really, really delicious actually. I added a little bit of lemon and a little bit of honey. And then for breakfast, I made some French toast breakfast sandwiches. So you make French toast on the outside, you add your vegan sausage, your just egg. Oh my gosh, it was the perfect savory sweet combo. It was amazing. For a snack a little bit later, I finally got Biscoff, which I've like heard so much about, but like always wanted to try. And it's basically like cookie butter that I guess you put on toast, pancakes and stuff. And I don't know what I was expecting, but like it tasted like a cookie and it was really good. And then for lunch, I made an arugula salad. You know, your girl loves some arugula. And for the dressing, I put some of the spinach dip from the other day, a little bit of hummus, lemon juice. When I tell you that was such a bomb dressing, like it was amazing. It paired so well with the arugula, and I topped it with some sunflower seeds, hemp hearts, chia seeds, and a little bit of nutritional yeast, and it was 10 out of 10, so good. Tyler also made me a few chicken nuggets, so how could I say no to those? So I had those as well. For dinner, I made a little chicken pot pie, so that's just, you know, all the veg, and I put chickpeas instead of fake chicken, which worked really, really well. And then I actually made a pie crust out of the same dough that I made for the little Pop-Tarts. Look how sweet this little pot pie is. That was the leftover. Look how cute that is. And it turned out so well. It was such a perfect, like, flaky crust. So that recipe has been amazing for so many things, and it was so good. For breakfast, I started off with a little bit more of that allergy tea, which is so nice in the morning. It's like so warming and like a little hug. And then I tried something new. I wanted to try savory oatmeal for the first time. And it was so weird in my head because I've only really ever had sweet oatmeal. But I added some sesame oil, soy sauce, some sesame seeds, and some seaweed. And my head couldn't understand it, but it was delicious in my mouth. And I'm definitely going to have it again. It was really, really good. And then it was such a chilly day outside that I'm like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity to make some cinnamon buns. So I warmed some milk and butter, added the yeast, let that rise. And I added 5 cups of flour. Now, I don't know why my mind didn't understand that that's a lot of flour, because it ended up being like 3,000 cinnamon buns. While that was rising, I started to make the soup for lunch, which was this taco salad soup. Oh my days. I know I keep saying this about every recipe, but it has to be the favorite soup that I've ever made. It was so flavorful, so creamy, so delicious, like so simple too. And it was like everybody in the house gave it like a 10 out of 10, knocked it out of the park. I added some oat milk, and then you top it off with a little bit of sour cream and a little bit of like tortilla shells. Oh my goodness, amazing. After lunch, I went on a little walk and I came home to the smell of fresh cinnamon buns, and oh my goodness, I made a pumpkin spice icing for one, and then I made just regular icing for the other 2. But look at how many cinnamon buns I ended up with. Like, I was not joking. It made 3 pans full, but we ended up giving one to a family friend, so it worked out. For dinner, I decided to make fish fillet burgers with the Gardein fish fillets, which are so good. And I decided to make some lemon pepper fries on the side. They didn't end up actually cooking in time to be eaten with the burger, but they're so good. They're like with lemon and olive oil, and oh my goodness. So delicious. And the burgers turned out so well. I made some homemade tartar sauce, and it was just such a quick, easy, delicious meal. So I saw this really cute pumpkin shaped bread, and I really wanted to make it, but a couple of things were not correct. I used the overnight bread that I do all the time, which is a very sticky dough, which probably wasn't the smartest idea. I also didn't use baking string. I just used random white string that I had in the house. Also, probably not the best idea. Anyways, I was very, very set on trying to make it. Does it look like a pumpkin? No. Was it a smart idea? No. Did the string get stuck in the middle of the bread? Yes. Did I stick a cinnamon stick in as the stem and pretend everything was alright? Also yes. Anyways, it may not have turned out exactly how I wanted it to, but it still tasted amazing. And so I made myself a little avocado toast with some chipotle mayo, and I just had one with butter as well. And I also made myself a pumpkin spice latte as well. For lunch, I did something a little funky fresh. I saw this recipe for pot pie ramen, so I saved a little bit of the extra veg and stuff from the pot pie from the other night and repurposed that to make this pot pie ramen. So I just cooked my ramen and I added in some milk and cooked that up until it was a nice consistency. Added in the ramen, and it was actually really, really good. I wasn't surprised because I mean it looked delicious in the video, but it tasted amazing. It was like super warming, and yeah, it was a really good take. But I don't think you can ever beat actual ramen because it's just unbeatable. For dinner, I decided to make this coconut cashew curry that looked so good in the picture, you know, and it just looks delicious. So I cut up a bunch of carrots, broccoli, onions, and sauteed that all together. And then you made a really nice cream sauce with the coconut milk and everything. And then I sprinkled in some tofu just near the end. It was so hearty and like warm, and I served it with some white rice and some arugula. It was really, really delicious. For breakfast, I was really craving those breakfast bagels that I made in my last What I Eat in a Week. So I decided to make some fresh bagels, and just kneading dough is such a therapeutic thing. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but it just makes me so calm. And while I waited for those to rise, I made a simple smoothie with some mixed berries, some coconut milk, and some hemp hearts, and it was so simple but so delicious, and it totally hit the spot. I dressed up my bagel exactly as I did last time, with some tofutti and scallion cream cheese, some tomatoes, some tofurkey, a hash brown, a little bit of hot sauce, and some just egg. And unfortunately, Tyler and I were filming an audition, so the bagels got a little bit toasty, but it was super delicious. And for dinner, I decided to make some mushroom stroganoff, which I had never made before, but was really good. So I sauteed mushrooms, cooked off some white wine, and I added some cashew cream until it came together in a really nice creamy sauce. Added some arugula on top of that, because you know your girl has got to get through the arugula before it goes bad in the fridge. And it was really delicious. For breakfast, I started out with some grapes, and they were those really good kind that are like really firm and like juicy and delicious. And then I had some more avocado toast on just the end little bits of my bread that I had left. It was super good. I put it on top of some vegan mayo again, a little bit of hemp hearts, chia seed, nutritional yeast, and of course a little bit of arugula. And then for lunch, we celebrated my grandma's 93rd birthday, and we had some panico pizza, and of course we had cake. Look at how cute she is. And for dinner, we just ended up having some leftovers from the pasta the night before, the mushroom stroganoff, and I made myself a little Caesar salad to go on the side. And then for dessert, we ended up just having some leftover of the cake, which my sister made, and it was so delicious. Like, look at how velvety that icing is. Like, she has perfected a vegan cake.